is full of them. From low-budget crap fests to downright unwatchable. And only 2 men are willing to watch them all. So climb in and take your seat. This is Short Bus Cinema.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Short Bus Cinema. I am one of your friends, Johnny Krug. Along with me is the awesome Ricky Morgan.
Howdy, howdy. What's up?
What's up, man? Hey, a lot of good stuff going on, dude. We got a big episode today. I think it's a big one. I mean, the movie itself is just, there's nothing that can hold it back. It's no hold barred.
I've got a man-sized predicament, and it's a big one.
Today we're going to be covering the cult classic / poo fest, Gymkata. And this is one that I hadn't seen before. Had you seen this movie before?
I saw it back in the day. I remember that there was a buzz about this movie when it came out. I knew a lot of kids in my class or growing up that really, really loved this movie. And I just want to show it to them again and go, remember you liking this?
If I had seen this back then, I probably would have loved it.
Yeah.
Seeing it as an adult, it takes on a whole new life, man. This movie is going to be fun to talk about later on the show. But,
yes.
Man, we've got a lot of cool stuff going on. We have a really active Facebook group going. If you guys want to join that, it's a page, right? Facebook page.
Yeah. We're setting up where you guys pretty much request movies for us to watch, and that's going fantastic. I can't gather them fast enough. So everybody getting involved. That just makes it a lot of fun, dude.
And the worse, the better.
Right.
Yeah, I figure. I feel like in the first 6 episodes of the show, we actually are scraping some of the bottom.
It didn't take us long.
No, not everything is. I mean, trust me. Once we get into stuff that's been shot on video and that kind of stuff, when everybody in the '80s bought a camcorder and they're like, "Hey, my cousin and his 6 friends with mullets can make a movie." That's right. So it's gonna be a fun ride, man. This show's been awesome so far. We've got amazing. I love the feedback we're getting, man. It's just been it's been overwhelming. Our listeners are the best. Yeah, we're getting people, joining the Facebook page all the time and growing on the Twitter account and Instagram and everything. So yeah, man, we're getting some feet underneath us. So that's a lot of fun. So if you are interested in that, if you're on social media, look us up at Short Bus Cinema. We're pretty much that on every outlet, right? That's it. Awesome. And it's like sounds like it's spelled like it sounds. Yes. Sounds like Gymkata. which always threw me as a kid, because when they said that, I was like, Gymkata, like the president? Gymkata? That's what I thought, Gymkata. Wait, is that like Welcome Back Kata's right. Hey, Mr. Kata. Oh man, this Jim, it's Jim, his brother. But so what's been up lately, man? Not a whole lot, man. Just trying to catch back up after Texas Frightmare weekend, which we got to hang out a little bit, and that was a ton of fun. But yeah, I'm just trying to play catch up now. Just trying to watch some of the movies that we got when we kicked some butt there at the trivia. Johnny and I kicked a ton of rear end while we were there. Speaking of, actually, I'm not sure the name of it. I wish I'd looked it up before the show, but I bought at Texas Frightmare the Blu-ray of Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball Bolorama, which is probably one of my favorite bad movies. Oh, yeah. And I just read the other day that, actually, I think David Dakota did that one. But these are kind of in the same vein. I just heard the other day that Jim Wynorski, who's another, him and Dakota are in the same boat. Wynorski's making another movie, and it's basically like, I think it's something like Sorority Babes, a Venus fight I don't know, it's something crazy. The title of it's like 7 words long.
Oh, man.
But it says he's returning to form with this one, and I am definitely looking forward to that being on the show.
Yeah, it didn't shock me one bit. Well, you saw Corman try to, come back out with the new Death Race and stuff. So I think there's a market for that stuff again. And
Oh, dude, you just reminded me when you said Corman. Did you hear the Romero news?
I saw he's making a new movie.
Did you see what it's about?
I just saw Road of the Dead's all I saw.
It is a movie where they have a competition where they place bets on zombies driving cars.
Yes.
That movie, I don't know if Romero's not even trying anymore, but that movie sounds like it's definite fodder for the show.
Oh man, that sounds incredible. Actually,
It's basically like Death Race meets everything Romero's done before that, with a political spin.
And it'll still be better than Diary of the Dead. So,
Well, I agree. I thought Diary was just and I have a lot of friends who like it, but I just cannot get into that movie.
No, not good.
So, you want to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some Gymkata.
That sounds fantastic.
See you guys in a second.
Get out of the way!
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds?
Necrophilia.
It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be a
did you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome back. We are talking about Gymkata from 1985, which, to me, this movie, it felt very 1985, but it felt so alien and foreign to me. Something about it just didn't. It's like everything made me uneasy about this movie. I guess not seeing it before.
I think it's probably the fact of it's martial arts, but with gymnastics mixed in it. That's enough to throw anybody for a loop.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that because there's a lot of gymnastics in this movie.
Yeah.
But this movie was directed by Robert Klaus, who apparently this guy has done tons of great things like Game of Death, Enter the Dragon. He did Black Belt Jones. So, like you were saying earlier, behind the scenes, he was, probably pimping his name for this movie based on his past.
Yeah, I mean, this guy made the greatest martial arts movie of all time. I mean, Enter the Dragon. I mean, Mortal Kombat. All these movies where there's a competition of martial arts, it's a direct ripoff of Enter the Dragon. So this guy created the martial arts film standard. And yeah, man, hey, I've done all these movies. I've got a new idea. It's called Gymkata.
but it's based off of Dan Tyler Moore's book, The Terrible Game, which I can't think of a better title for this movie, The Terrible Movie. They should have just followed suit with the book title.
Oh, yeah.
I will say this, though. I watched this movie with my mom, and she doesn't really like bad movies, but she's the kind of person who can get into anything. And she was sitting there, like, rooting along for the hero of the movie and getting into it. And I'm just thinking, man, she's enjoying this more than I am.
That's nuts.
but the cast of this movie, really, I mean, really no one to talk about. Honestly, I've never seen these people before. I'm sure there are a lot of like professional martial artists and stuff. But,
Right. Yep.
I mean, did you recognize anybody?
I'll make a reference to one guy that's in this movie. He's kind of the main bad guy, I guess you would say. He looks like Lee Greenwood. If Lee Greenwood was a big muscled up dude. And he's been in a bunch of Cynthia Rothrock movies and stuff, so he's a martial arts guy. You know, he's one of those staples of that kind of stuff. I don't know his name because, I don't know, I don't care.
Well, getting into this, that's awesome. Getting into this movie, it immediately starts off with Kevin Sorbo chasing Wolverine through the woods on a horseback.
Kevin Sorbo, yeah. If Sorbo and Lee Greenwood mashed together, that's what you get.
Sorbwood. But right after this, it cuts. It has some flashing sequences between, but then it cuts finally to Bruce Jenner flipping around on a pole inside of a gym.
Yeah. You like slow-mo gymnastics, folks? Because you're going to get a ton of it at the beginning of this movie.
Not just gymnastics. There's a lot of slow-mo in this movie.
Yeah. When the movie's not long enough and you have to fill the gap, just slow it down. That's all you have to do.
I mean, yeah, don't worry about writing anything extra. The main guy in this movie, though, his name's Jonathan, and that's the guy I was calling Bruce Jenner. Because when he's flipping around, you haven't met him yet and stuff, and he has that wavy hair and stuff. It looks a lot like Jenner.
He kind of looks like Evil Ed, though, from Fright Night.
Dude, he really did. I mean, as the movie went on and they would like show him talking, he really looked a lot like Evil Ed.
Yeah, so I mean, through the whole thing, my notes say Evil Ed everywhere, so...
That's awesome.
So if you want to play along at home, folks, then these names will not be the names of the actual people, but you'll get the gist of it.
I don't know the reasoning behind Evil Ed going to this place, but I know that he learns almost immediately about Parmesan or Parmesanistan or one of those places.
Parmesanistan.
and he hears about the game of Gym. Or is the game called Gymkata? Because it seemed like they kept saying something similar, but it didn't sound like Gymkata.
Yeah, I don't really care. I mean,
it was like, who's Gymkata?
Yeah, he flips off of a pair of unequal balance beams or whatever, and people clap, and then immediately he's at this place where he's seeing some underground, footage of this tournament that he's supposed to go to, just like Enter the Dragon. So,
learning about fighting to the death.
Yeah. So, what a strange setup for a gymnastics guy.
Well, the leader of that what is it, a country? That didn't seem like an entire country.
Yeah. But it's maybe an island. I don't really know. If it's Enter the Dragon, then it's definitely just an island that you can't get off of once you get there. So that would make sense.
Well, their leader there, he's King Geraldo Rivera, and
that's good. I said Sonny Bono, but that's much better.
Dude, every time I saw him, I was like, that looks just like friggin' Geraldo. But so Jonathan starts training. The people who are training him, I mean, there's not a lot of explanation to who these people are in relation to him, but like you said, it really doesn't matter. But he starts training with Ving Rhames and Japanese Casey Kasem.
Right.
And every day is kind of it's a really long montage, actually, too, because he keeps going to each person and walking on his hands up the stairs and stuff, and then the next scene he's getting his ass beat by Ving Rhames.
And what I love about that, and it's throughout the whole movie, and you'll hear this sound effect a lot, even on this show, but they're out there fighting outside, and there's leaves on the ground, so it's obviously fall, but it's funny that when you get flipped in the air and you land on your back on the ground, it still sounds like...
like you're going through 14 boulders.
Right. I mean, so no matter what happens to these people, if somebody trips over, a shoestring and falls down, it's going to sound like... Which is
almost sounded like a Wookiee, too.
It's the same sound effect they used on the old Pink Panther cartoon. Like if he fell down and stuff, it's exactly the same sound. So,
I've got some words later for the Foley artists of this movie. Because they were either just having a great time and not on set ever, or not on set, but not working ever, and just threw in some stuff at the last minute, or they just didn't care.
Exactly. And like you were saying, you got Casey Kasem, or I called him Crazy Hawk Dude, who's just standing there with a hawk on his arm the whole time. But then he makes Evil Ed chop some wood just because, like he's Mr. Miyagi or something. And then he says, well, watch this, kid. And he puts the blindfold on, and he's showing that, he can swing those knives around and not cut himself. It's just like typical trying to train a guy kind of stuff, but pretty comical because it doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, and then at every turn of this whole training thing, he has Princess Rubali, who is the other main character of this movie. She's the love interest. She's pulling knives on him, and she's she's roping him up like cattle.
Yeah.
I mean, she's wicked.
Yeah, and of course, he's Evil Ed's trying to make his moves on her and stuff. And what's amazing, if you'll see this scene, but I got it, the princess kissing scene. So he walks up to kiss her, and she throws this knife, and it goes right into the hole that was in the post. So if you look close, it's like, yeah, either she's a really good shot, or they just ran it in reverse.
I want to go ahead and say that she's really good. Like, she did that. She probably was just so good she could hit that spot twice.
Right.
I did like their little fun, flippy conversation where she's standing in the room and he's standing facing her talking, and then he does this weird flip and he's behind her and he's doing her voice, and he flips back and he's talking to her again. I thought that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of a funny little scene.
Sure. Yeah, he's just...
That flip was insane.
Yeah, just some kind of crazy somersault, and he's pretending to be both people talking to each other because she's just standing there looking at him like, I want to kill you. But kudos. I wish I could flip like that. It's not going to happen though.
That was awesome, man. There's a lot of things I wish I could do in this movie, but mainly I'm just glad I didn't do this movie. Right after this, is that when they leave for Parmesanistan?
Parmesanistan, and that's where they meet Stork, who I've got written down as Mick Fleetwood.
That actually is, okay, that's perfect.
They're looking at the place. They've just arrived on the island or whatever, and Mick Fleetwood's giving them the down low of, you stay away from this area, and you go over to this area, and watch out for this. And they're just walking down the street, and you get some crazy guy walks up and says something about, oh, you American, and like throws water or whatever. And then out of nowhere, one of the bodyguards or whatever that's with Evil Ed just gets shot with a bow and arrow out of nowhere.
Right in the chest.
It's like, whoa.
You talk about being caught off guard. That really caught me off guard.
It reminded me of Kentucky Fried Movie when they talk about when you're a Gemini, you never know what to expect. And every time they say that, somebody gets shot with an arrow. I just thought, well, dude's Gemini,
Oh, man. This movie is pretty funny, though. And I mean, because after that, he has this alley fight. Of course, he leaves the guy who just got shot, and he leaves the princess.
Oh, sure, yeah.
To go throw down in this alley. And then when he goes back, everybody's gone. Princess Rubali's been kidnapped, and he has to go. And you know what's amazing is he just got there, but he mysteriously knows exactly where to go to ask questions. It's like, they cut some scenes or something of him being shown around beforehand.
And I love when he's chasing the guys, and you get to see him go. He's in action, but the thing is do you really want to see them in action? Because the combination of gymnastics and martial arts, to me, just ends up looking like a solid go dancer. It's like stop and flip, and now I'm going to do a somersault. Now I'm going to kick him in the face. It's just the weirdest combination of trying to sneak those things in together.
I would like to see a roller boogie karate movie.
Let's make it, man. We can do it. I mean, somebody made this.
Unfortunately, not this director though. He won't be able to help us. He's been gone for 20 years now, apparently.
How about when he chases those people down the alleyway and there's a conveniently placed bar hanging across, two walls there.
This is one of my favorite scenes, man, in the entire movie, because he's spinning and he's kicking every single person who walks by in the face. And the best part of this entire scene is there's this guy on a bike with a turban, and he kicks him, and the guy falls over. And after the fight's over, he walks over to the guy and talks to him, and the guy says, "Karate, Dios mío." And I'm like, "You're wearing a turban? Are you Mexican? What the hell's going on here? What are you?"
Oh, that happens throughout the whole thing, because when the owner of the island comes out and talks to all the people there, the natives, he speaks English at one time and they understand, and he speaks another language and they understand. It's like, what is going on here, man?
As soon as I thought he said karate, and then I heard Dios mío, so I had to rewind it. I'm like, he did say karate, Dios mío. Karate, Dios mío. What in the hell?
And then the next thing I got is after you get through that, and he ends up kicking everybody in the face. It's like 12 people in a row. He's just spinning on this bar and kicking people in the face, which is great.
And were they all after him? I don't think all of them were even after him.
No, some guys are just turning down the alley because that's where they live, and he just gets kicked in the face, you know? That's what's great about it. But after that, he gets... he chases the Cyclops Abraham Lincoln, and they're fighting on the staircase.
That guy was huge, dude.
Yeah. But I was like, what? What's the deal here? What's with this guy?
No, that was a good scene. That's the scene where he actually saves Princess Rubali, and
right.
There's this crazy balls chasing with, gunfire everywhere, cars flipping down alleys.
Yeah,
it really has it all. I never expected to see half the stuff I saw in this scene.
He goes in and saves the princess, and when he comes out, he gets chased by Columbo and Teen Wolf, and they're chasing him everywhere. And and then the guy that's dressed like Columbo does this cool move around a car that almost hits him. You got to stop and see this part, man. It's because you're not going to see it if you're not looking for it. But a cop car comes right up against him, and he just does this neat little spin kind of thing. It's like, it could have been cool, but it's totally not cool, man.
He almost kataned it.
Right, exactly.
He almost slid across it with his ass. But that same guy had a great death too, because when he gets shot by the cops, he falls down and he consciously holds the gun over his head and fires up the wall and then drops it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even think they gave him that direction as much as he's like, I'm gonna do something good when I die.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good death. So, he just kind of falls out there in the street, and there's tons of people around. Nobody's running or panicking. They're just watching this dude shoot in the air and die. So,
no, this is everyday. This is an everyday occurrence in Parmesanistan.
Yeah.
When you have this, and then you have a lot of graders coming through the streets. So maybe I'm completely ignorant, and I will accept that if that's the case. But the next scene is them whitewater rafting in the Middle East.
Yeah, man, they
is that a thing? I didn't think they had whitewater rafting in the Middle East.
Yeah,
it seemed kind of dry to me.
It seems, yeah. It's the mystery of this island, I guess.
I love it. But
you find out that Mick Fleetwood is actually a bad guy, so they end up getting away from him, and they end up with these tour guides, basically, with donkeys. But and they lead them down this path. But man, when it gets to whitewater rafting, you're on your own, because in Parmesanistan they just don't do that.
No, and as soon as they get there, there's about 20 members of the Foot Clan that show up.
That's what I said. Yeah, it's the Foot Clan.
Yeah, it's like they can't dock without 15-on-1 fight. It's these guys all come up. But the funny thing is that I could have sworn that she said that they were on their side. But when he comes up with the knife, dude, just Jonathan, Evil Ed just goes completely bonkers and starts attacking people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she says that too. And I think maybe he just wasn't used to her saying anything, so he's like, surely she didn't say that. I gotta kick these guys' butts. I'm Gymkata. So
in his defense, though, if a woman's not tying you up or pulling a knife on you, it's kind of hard to hear what they're saying.
True.
Sorry, ladies, I was kidding.
Speaking of which, though, because after he gets knocked out by the Foot Clan, he wakes up, and he's in this bed, and he wakes up, and it's the chick that it looks like the monster from Nightbreed, the one that's got the tentacle things that comes out of his stomach. And she's just looking at him, and it's like, no, dude, get away from that.
See, I said he woke up getting a back rub from Beetlejuice, so I think both are pretty accurate. I think it was a creature for sure.
Pretty scary, yeah. Poor. That's what you get in Parmesanistan.
So I guess earlier in the movie he learned about Gymkata, but now they discussed, him and the king. They discussed the rules of Gymkata, which I don't know if we should even go over the rules because they seem pretty flimsy at best.
Well, I love the high-tech model that they've got.
Nobody enforces them either.
They've got this big, layout model of the obstacle course. I'm like, dude, it's an obstacle course. Do you need, a layout of the whole island just to show? And here's where you're going to climb ropes.
It was one step away from being a Double Dare physical challenge.
It really was.
And Geraldo was their Mark Summers.
Oh man, that would be great.
Dude, you imagine Jonathan or Evil Ed sliding down a giant tongue? Oh man. I honestly thought that Beetlejuice character should have been in the movie more. I mean, I know he or she does come back later, and I say that not disrespectfully because I honestly couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was hard to tell, and just creepy, man. Just creepy. So
no, and he kind of goes with it at that scene, though. He kind of goes with it after he or she just kind of like convinces him to kind of lay back, and it's gonna happen. So you might as well let it.
look, it's gonna happen.
What? You literally just kicked like 15 guys' faces in, and you're gonna let this troll creature massage you against your will?
Oh man! And then it cuts to the scene where they go outside. So 35 minutes into this movie, the Bee Gees have been captured, and they've got them tied up, and they decide to use them as an example of what can happen on this obstacle course. So
yeah, that's a.
Did you notice in this scene, you got a lot of musical talent in this one scene because you got the Bee Gees that are captured, you got Devo back there dressed up as the Foot Clan.
Yeah, the Foot Clan with the Devo hats. Yeah, they had the power domes.
Right, and then you got Lee Greenwood. I mean, it was just, I thought they were just going to jam. But no, man, what they do is they cut the ropes, Bee Gees take off running, and they follow behind just to see what happens to them.
Well, they did say that the Bee Gees were criminals, so...
Yeah, how do you become a criminal in Parmesanistan where everybody's just shooting people in the street all the time?
You know what? I don't know, man. But I will say it starts with this scene with the BG falling off the rope. But this movie has some of the best bodies hitting rock moments in movie history. If Gymkata is going to go down for something, body hitting rock moments is probably one of them. I really enjoyed those scenes, actually. I mean, and it happens, 3 times?
Well, there's one thing, too. I don't know if you saw it, but you can go back and back up. But as soon as they turn the Bee Gees loose and everybody starts coming out of the town, they've got all them on horseback. And for real, there's a dude standing in the street, and a horse just runs right over the guy. And,
not supposed to happen?
Yeah, not supposed to happen. I mean, dude just gets nailed. And you can even see that guy on the horse look down like, holy crap, you okay? And it's just, just leave that in there. It's no big deal.
There's a scene coming up later in the movie that there's something that's kind of similar where I don't think the stuff was supposed to happen. I think people are just getting hurt.
36 minutes and 37 seconds. That's where it happens. I even put a marker on it. I was like, wow, that's insane. But yeah, Maurice Gibb gets killed first. He's one gets knocked off first. And again, you got those great sound effects because even when you get shot and you fall off of a cliff, hanging off of a rope, it still kind of sounds like... Now, dude just hit some rocks surrounded by water, and you still get the ground slam.
I will say this, man. Another thing this movie has going for it is a lot of really pathetic death screams. Like, some of the times when people are falling or getting stabbed or whatever, I mean, it is downright hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope you have some of that audio, but if you don't, I mean, there's enough of it in the movie for somebody to pull that audio.
It's just throughout, man. I mean, it's crazy.
I did enjoy the nightly festivities they have before the actual event starts, where they have games like Catch the Butterfly Man. Oh, they have Cheeky Piercy, and then they have Dropkick the Drum Kit, which I'm pretty sure is what got Tommy Lee kicked out of Motley Crue originally. Like, I could understand what was going on. You have a guy spin kicking cymbals, you have someone piercing their cheeks like a sideshow, and then 2 guys on horseback trying to butterfly net each other.
Yeah, well, it all, again, this goes back to Enter the Dragon, because they have a celebration night there as well, and all kinds of, gymnastics things going on. So, I mean, they were just kind of revisiting that and trying to up the ante a little bit, and yeah, that's what you got. Some dudes on horseback with some nets.
Catch the Butterfly Man. I like it, man.
Then all of a sudden, Will Ferrell shows up at the party.
That dude did look like Will Ferrell.
So he shows up at the party, and yeah, he's just a big butthole, man. I'm the best there ever is, and
he won before, right? He's like the reigning champion.
Right. He's got this kind of Randy Macho Man hairdo.
Oh yeah,
and attitude, but he looks like Will Ferrell in the face. So, yeah, chick magnet? I don't think so.
This is also where King Geraldo announces his daughter's Princess Rubali, right?
Yeah,
he announces her marriage. Yeah, he announces her marriage to Kevin Sorbo right in front of Evil Ed. So, and then there's this weird scene where Kevin Sorbo does this whole size matters things, and he pulls out these size, like ninja size, and he throws it right next to Evil Ed's face.
Matter.
Yeah, size matters. Well, he makes a comment. He's like, "She's mine," and the whole thing is just so weird because it's not very known in this movie that either guy is with her,
right?
I mean, and the fact that they're already feuding with each other without knowing it.
Yeah,
it's really goofy.
Well, it's that thing of, wait a minute, we might should have developed a little more, backstory here to we have something to build. So, but since we didn't, we'll just do a bunch of slow-mo stuff and
slow down the film.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's all you gotta do.
We gotta slow it down. So the competition begins the next day, and it's I'm trying to put words into how it starts.
You can't. Starts off as...
Well, I know Kevin Sorbo cheats because as soon as they leave, like, he's supposed to wait for him.
Right.
And he immediately takes off in front of King Geraldo.
Yeah, he's wanting to go kill Evil Ed because, he knows that that's the threat of it to his woman, so he's out for blood for him, but... So they're running through the chorus, and you see your typical things like always, where some dude's climbing a rope and you get shot in the chest with an arrow, which happens way too many times. You think after a while they start figuring out, I'm not climbing a rope, because when that happens, I get shot. So you get some people running through that obstacle course part of it, and then all of a sudden Will Ferrell just has a throwdown and kills this dude, which is a pretty decent fight. You start getting a little background on some of the other fighters, but it doesn't really matter because they don't last long. You just need to hang out with Will Ferrell, I guess.
Well, this is right after that is whenever Jonathan or Evil Ed climbs up the ropes, and Kevin Sorbo lights him on fire, right?
Right. So
and lights the ropes he's climbing on fire, and they must have been doused in kerosene because they went really fast,
really, really quick. And the thing is in the back of my mind, when you see this scene, he's climbing the rope, but not even, I don't know, half an arm's length away is another rope. I'm like, dude, just reach over and grab the other rope and keep going up. I mean, it's like Donkey Kong Jr. You don't have to stay on that one. But lo and behold, because he's Gymkata, he makes it.
I would have loved a gorilla throwing barrels at him, man. That would have been awesome.
What were the things on Donkey Kong Jr.? They're like little robot jaws, little fish-looking things that would go up and down the rope.
Yeah, because wasn't a Mario throwing stuff at you in that game?
Yeah, possibly.
I think you were Donkey Kong Jr. trying to save Donkey Kong.
Right. There you go, folks. Who would have known this show?
That's a fun game.
Gymkata leads you to Donkey Kong Jr. How about that? You're not going to get that anywhere else.
But I do know which one you'll spend a better 90 minutes with. Without a doubt. Right after this, Evil Ed and Will Ferrell get in a fight in the woods, and it's kind of anticlimactic because I assume one of the King's men is trying to shoot Evil Ed, but he ends up hitting Will Ferrell in the chest.
Right in the chest. And then Evil Ed kind of takes off and he goes to Crazy Town.
Oh, I wrote Crazy Town. That's so funny you said that.
Yeah.
Because I actually wrote Crazy Town, and he just beats up a buttload of nuns in an alley right away. Just right away, just walks into an alley and just starts. And it's funny because after he kicks, I want to say he beats up about 4 of the 9, and the other ones just face the wall like they're at the end of Blair Witch, just like they're terrified of him.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just some weird. Of course, it's Crazy Town. It's supposed to be weird.
Oh, and this town really does. I mean, this is probably the most out there moment in this movie because it's like they just collected every bit of crazy they had out of every cast member and set decorator, anybody on involved with the movie, and said, what's the craziest thing you can think of? Because there's one scene where he walks by what looks like a mannequin sitting next to a shop front, and as soon as he walks off, the head starts turning real slowly, and you see that is actually the back of some guy's head, and he's got a face on the back of his head.
Yeah, kind of creepy.
It was very creepy.
Yeah.
And then he goes and fights that guy, and he beats up both his faces.
Well, how about the priest that stood up there motioning for him to come that direction, then he turned around and the whole back of his outfit is cut out so you can see his butt?
Yeah, that was almost, I mean, they had to be in there for comic relief, right?
Sure.
That's the only thing I can think of. But there's a scene there also. I mean, there were a lot of crazy scenes here. The one that I was going to say earlier is the one where he goes to the middle of town, and they have that conveniently placed gymnast, like those two handles.
It's a pommel horse, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody gathers around him while he does these spin flip or kicks and everything. He's kicking to everybody that walks up to him, and this is a scene where I'm pretty sure I saw some of those hits land. I'm pretty sure some of those people got hit.
Oh yeah, I mean, just come on, man. I mean, and before that, you got Will Ferrell shows back up, and
oh, I forgot about that when he gets into the pig pen.
He gets eaten by the pigs, but
Yep.
He's got an arrow sticking out of him, and he's running around and gets eaten by the pigs. But yeah, man, in the middle of Crazy Town, you get a concrete pommel horse with the handles up top, and yeah, man, he's doing his gymnastics routine and just kicking a bunch of weirdos in the face, and
I tried to justify it, man. I really did. I was like, well, maybe they tie things to those two handles. Maybe those are there for a reason. But then I just sat there and was like, no, they didn't.
No.
They brought in some gymnast equipment and they painted it stone.
You're exactly right. That's all it is. Because again, it's Gymkata. We got to tie in the gymnastics with karate because it hasn't been done before.
And never again should it be done.
We've learned the lesson, folks.
We're gonna do roller kata.
Roller kata.
Roller kata would be awesome.
Yes, it would.
Rolla, no ER, just ROLLA kata.
That's it.
Roller kata.
I'll make a poster
Dude,
for it.
I think this is gonna happen. I think this has to happen.
If any of you listeners out there, if you're pretty handy on Photoshop, if you will, make us a roller kata poster, and we'll make sure that it gets posted out there.
I think if that ends up being a short film, I think it could be picked up as the next big, like, B piece of garbage.
Right. We could be the new Astron 2.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Or 3. I guess because we have to be off a number somehow, so.
One thing that I didn't see coming in this movie, because, you don't expect a lot of heavy-handed twists in a movie in a movie like this, but we do find out that Dad's alive. Evil Ed's dad, who we were told earlier, died and went missing, right?
Right. Which I think is the initial reaction.
He shows up.
That's the initial reason of why he's going. I think was trying to find his dad or something. It's one of those stories, But yeah, and he's alive in Crazy Town, which kind of tells you something, I guess.
Well, that's what I had written down, too. I wrote that Dad's alive for a few minutes.
For a few seconds. That's exactly right.
Yeah. He is not in this movie very long before he is taken the hell out, just immediately. And
guess how he gets killed off, folks? That's right. He gets shot with a bow and arrow.
And it was Kevin Sorbo, right? Kevin Sorbo shot him.
Oh, yeah.
Hercules! So that's when we get the final showdown between Sorbo and Evil Ed. And it's to me, it was, I don't know, it was like probably the least interesting fight in the movie.
Well, you know why? Because it intercuts with pictures of the princess in that little cat suit. Yeah. That black cat suit, dude, where and I couldn't tell if her dad was against her at first, then all of a sudden he was like, okay, I'll just do what she says, because she's like trying to escape to help or something, and then her dad decides to join her. Yeah.
It was very, very weird.
It's a weird family.
But this scene, one thing I really loved about the scene of Sorbo versus Ed was he does these weird little moves that are, I'm pretty sure, gymnastic moves, and then he just runs and throws all of his body weight into Kevin Sorbo. It didn't even look like a fighting move. It just looked like if you went dead weight in the middle of the air and hit somebody with your entire body.
Right. It almost looked
I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, it almost looked like an accident, really. Oh, that's
probably good. Was, honestly.
Let's leave it in there. It's good.
The horse guy's sitting there. He's like, hey, if you're leaving my scene in, you're leaving that crap in.
The ending where they probably should have slowed the film down, they didn't. But they did everywhere else.
Well, let me ask you this. Rubali and King Geraldo, did they go down there to unite the village to go against their own game? Like, I can understand what they were going down there to get the people get the backing for. I mean, it probably doesn't matter because the movie, as soon as they go outside and the town's behind them, you see Evil Ed coming back into town and then credits. It's like the movie's over. Nothing is explained. You don't really hear anything about.
Well, the only thing
to me, it was like, wow, like
the only thing that's explained is after the freeze frame, you get the history lesson about the Star Wars Defense Program. I'm like, what is this? What does this have to do with anything?
I literally had to rewind that. I almost wrote it down word for word, but then I was like, no, because it's hurting my brain to even think about why that would be in this movie. Like, that would be like you watching Jaws, and at the end they were like, and that's why cars that run off of oil or cars that run off of tea leaves will be the product of the future. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's exactly what it's like. It's like, what does this have to do with anything? I mean, and that's when the Star Wars Defense Program was put in place. All right.
At the end of Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like, and that's why you can build a better swimming pool. What? What are you talking about? I really, honestly, it's probably in the trivia somewhere for this movie because it's such a notorious movie. I've heard so many people talk about this, and I'm surprised it took me so long to watch it. But there has to be some kind of information why that was in this movie.
I still wonder about when this picture was done. They go, huh? What do you think about that? Huh? Is that good? Yeah.
Maybe that was one of like the backers, one of the producers was like, all right, we'll get this made, but I'm putting a message at the very end of the movie and I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, it's like the Ed Wood thing, where at the end I want just a big explosion.
Exactly.
Or the whole documentary about the Superman movie that Tim Burton was going to make.
Oh, I never saw that movie. I want to see that though.
I haven't seen the movie, but the documentary is
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, the documentary.
Oh gosh, you got to see it, man. Because it describes how these kind of movies.
Isn't it called The Death of Superman Lives?
Yes. And so this guy got the rights to the movie and basically just said, all right, here's what's going to happen. I don't want to see Superman in the suit because that looks stupid. I don't want to see him fly because it always looks like crap. And I want to see him fight a big spider. That's it. So Superman can't fly, he can't be in the Superman outfit, and he has to fight a spider. So that's how these movies get made. Yeah, I don't care what you do. I just want some gymnastics and some karate, because karate, the kids love the karate stuff, but I love gymnastics. And then at the end, we want to talk about the Star Wars Defense Program.
That's, Corman, I think Corman was notorious for that too. I think he would always go in there and say, the movie has to be like 60 minutes, has to be this much TNA, it has to be, and basically they gave them like a set of little bullet points to meet, and then after that they had, basically an entire movie made for them. Yeah,
free range after that. As long as you hit those points, everything else can go. So, yeah, that's crazy. So
that's awesome, man. How would this movie be upgraded? What would be a good upgrade for this movie?
I would have had, when they had the miniature out there laid out, I'd have Bobcat Goldthwait come out in the Godzilla outfit and start stomping on it.
You guys, Parmesan stand?
Parmesan stand.
Gymkata.
The big one for me, besides that, because I love Bobcat Goldthwait, but more cat suit.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was pretty, she was dressed pretty conservatively for most of the movie until the very end.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Hey, bring that out sooner.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciated that. That probably would have added a little bit more life to this movie. I thought this movie needed more zip lines. Those climbing across lines, they don't work as well as, I play a lot of video games where people just jump on a line and they just slide across. These people were going pretty slow. No wonder they're getting hit by arrows. The only other upgrade I have is I think they should have Foley artists with more to work with than a Subway cold cut tray. Because it sounded like they were just punching lettuce and carrots and meat and just, I don't know what the hell they were hitting half the time. It was just like,
right.
It just sounds like they're just beating on a Subway tray. There were several times where my mom and I were just laughing because we were like, yeah, that's what it would sound like if you punched someone in the face. It would sound like squish.
Right, exactly. I said less obvious gymnastic props. Hey, there just happens to be a pole sticking across there. Hey, here's a pommel horse in the middle of this town.
I just assume that most people in, any country that ends in the word stand probably have, that's probably a good way of transportation is swinging from, swinging like bar to bar and, go do some I don't know, man. The whole thing was just weird.
That's it.
I just want to know why the guy in the turban's speaking Spanish.
I said we need more dudes run over by the horse. And my last one is more slow-mo. We need more of that.
This movie could have easily been split up into 3 like Peter Jackson if they just did more slow-mo.
Yeah, that's probably the big killer. There was way too much slow-mo stuff in it.
Well, there's that part where they cut the rope on him when he's going across, and then Evil Ed gets to he's not even at the top yet, but you can tell he's going to get there. And as soon as he gets to the top, they slow the whole scene down where the guy starts fighting him, and I'm just like, come on, man.
Yeah, really.
This scene would be much better if it were, at normal speed. I mean, it would be a little better if it were at normal speed.
Yeah, a little.
What are some good lessons from a bad movie that you have?
Never trust Mick Fleetwood.
I think Stevie Nicks has that same. I think she has that tattooed somewhere on her butt cheek.
Mick Fleetwood. What you got?
It's true though.
Yes.
The only thing. Mine wasn't even that funny. I just learned to climb a rope because apparently it's going to come in handy at some point in my life. There were a lot of ropes in this.
Well, I said if I was ever in this tournament, never climb or hang from a rope. So we kind of learned opposite things there.
Yeah, well, apparently all they had were arrows because, I mean, there were several scenes in the movie where you see knives, you see sais. Well, you saw the scene where she had that spring-loaded knife. I thought that would come back into play. It's like set it up in Act 1, bring it back in Act 3.
Right.
Never happened. Never again.
Yeah, forget foreshadowing. We don't need that crap in here.
But I really did. I thought they were going to bring back the sais and stuff like that. I even thought they'd bring back the butterfly nets and they play Catch the Butterfly Man, but...
They didn't bring back anything. Yeah.
Nothing, man. Yeah. I can only imagine what the pitch was like for this movie. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that pitch meeting.
Yeah, well, of course, you're coming into the mid-'80s where the ninja movies and the martial arts stuff, I mean, we already covered Ninja 3 and all that stuff, so it was a big deal at this time. Everybody was eat up with the martial arts stuff. So this is just a way to do it and bring something new to it, I guess. I can see why they made the movie because of the time and stuff. And like I said, I remember it. Oh man, Gymkata's awesome. I love that movie. And nah.
Coming 2018 from producer Rick Morgan and Johnny Krug, Rollicata. And still, Rollicata still sounds like we can still set it in Parmigiano stand because Rollicata sounds like something Italian.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like something you would eat for sure.
Oh man, what were they thinking, man? What were they thinking on some of the stuff in this movie?
Obviously, they weren't.
I was wondering what was it with all the black teeth, man. They were pretty much saying that hygiene doesn't exist on this one island.
Well, it's the lack of fluoride. It has to be shipped in, so they were just out of luck, man. That's just the way it goes.
Well, I want to know who's giving makeup advice from L'Oreal or whatever to Beetlejuice back there in the massage room. Because, if you can get past the teeth, what's going on with the eyes? She has got the Beetlejuice makeup going.
The whole idea of having a crazy town. How do you keep those people there? I mean,
yeah, it didn't seem very confined.
Right. It was just open. I mean, dude just waltzed in, and crazy people, and he just waltzed out. It's like, yeah, crazy people don't stay within boundaries. They just don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking on that.
I don't need to see I don't need to see a super violent death or anything like that. But they do come to a part where Evil Ed's walking through that crazy town and he finds one of the other competitors and he's just gored and there's blood everywhere.
Right.
And I'm like, that would have been an interesting scene to see what happened there.
Yeah.
But instead of filming that scene, we'll do a little aftertake of it and we'll slow everything down from that point on. Good work, Gymkata. You totally nailed it.
Oh man, yeah, it's a work of art, folks.
This is a movie that I'm glad I finally did see because I understand why it's so notorious.
Yeah, and again, it blows my mind because I remember it being a big deal when it came out, especially on cable because it came on all the time. But going back and looking, it's like, man, just not a good idea to try to mix these two things together. to me, gymnastics and martial arts are so far apart from each other. And like I said, I believe that's where we get the inspiration for the solid gold dancers, because that's all it really looks like to me.
Oh man!
Well, if you got Evil Ed and put him in the cat suit and had him do those moves, it would look just like solid gold.
Well, you know what it seemed like back then, especially after watching this and like No Retreat, No Surrender, and a lot of those movies, like a lot of the martial art types movies and things like that came out back then, and fighting in general. It seemed like they would hire people who were very good at like fighting or stunts or that kind of style of fighting. But they just did not have any acting chops at all.
Right.
Well, kind of like Samurai Cop, except for he doesn't really do any samurai or any samurai type stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's something I definitely saw, because, like I told you earlier, we're doing No Retreat, No Surrender on Hail Ming, and watching, I was like, dude, this needs to be on Short Bus, because they obviously just hired martial arts people, and screw if they can act. I mean, we just want to see some action, and oh man, And this is the case, too. When you watch this one, you got a handful of people that are pretty decent actors, but you can tell that most of them are just hired because they had this martial arts ability. And, yeah, you have to do slow-mo to make up for that. So.
Oh, yeah. Where would this movie sit on the bus?
I'm not going to be too terrible on it. I'm going to say about halfway back. So, 2 or 3 rows, about dead in the middle for me.
That's exactly where I'd put it.
Yeah,
I would put it halfway there, just because it's a watchable film. It's not something that you lose interest in, really. It does have slow-mo and it has its problems, but it's not something that I'm ever like, oh, I'll just turn it off. I was interested in the movie.
Right.
It's not great, and it's definitely got its problems, but it's nothing like, Slumber Party or The Last Slumber Party or anything like that.
No, it's not that bad at all. And I mean, there is some production value to it. It's just a bad concept idea to run with. And but yeah, man, where else you going to see the Bee Gees get killed? Really.
Well, I just want to, I have another vacation coming up pretty soon, and I want to know how soon and how much money it'll take to get me whitewater rafting in Parmesanistan. I need to know. I need to know how much their whitewater rafting is there.
Well, we'll have to look that up, I guess.
That's great.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Well, I think that's it for Gymkata, man. You want to take a quick break?
Yep, let's take a quick break, and we'll play some promos of some shows we like, and we'll be right back.
Rock and roll.
Get out of the way!
I'm Cootie.
My name is X.
And I'm Chef Al, and we're your hosts on the Kiss the Goat podcast.
On our show, we're going to break down some of your favorite devil movies from the past 50 years.
We also drink and talk about religion.
Which is a terrible idea.
That is a great idea.
And I'm going to give you some great recipe ideas to go along with the movies that we've been watching.
We also answer questions from our listeners on every single episode.
And I also frankly discuss my sex life at really inappropriate times.
She does!
I do, it's the thing.
I tell terrible jokes and sing when I'm drunk.
And I haven't been paid yet. They said they would pay me, and they,
Kiss the Goat! Exclusively on the Legion Network of podcasts.
Seriously, can I get some money?
God, just do the job, Al.
Hey, you guys!
All right, folks, welcome back. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Hey, if you got ideas for other shows, put them out there for us, folks. We're making a list. We're checking it twice and going to find out if these movies suck or not. I know that doesn't rhyme, but hey, it works. But if you got comments or anything you want to say about Gymkata, or if we pissed you off because you love Gymkata, let us know. I mean, this is all interactive, and we want to have a good time. So
I will say this: as far as bad movies go, I like a lot of turds. Like, I like a lot of bad movies. I mean, some of my favorite horror movies, like, there's one we'll probably do on the show eventually called Iced. A terrible slasher movie with a horrible ending, and it is one of my favorites just because of, I love it. Just there's something about it. I understand that it's bad, but I still love it. So I understand if you have a love for movies like this, or, Splatter University. I almost said Slaughter High. That's a good movie.
Slaughter High is not bad at all.
Yeah, I don't know why I almost slipped up there.
Well, that's because the splatter, slaughter, all those things start running together. All those late '80s, early band names, Slaughter, Slayer, they all run together.
That's awesome. My sister's in a Slaughter cover band. They're called Slutter.
Slutter.
Her and all her friends, man, they used to be cheerleaders. Now they're just playing in this band. They're pretty good, actually. They're playing down at the Viper Room, man.
All right. That's killer. All right, man. I guess that's going to do it for this episode. Like I said, check out Facebook page, all of the social media stuff out there. And again, interactive, man. We want to know what you think, what you feel, what you smell. And just be a part of this. And join all the stuff and give us suggestions. I'm Johnny Krug on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Short Bus Cinema. Yeah. And hit us up. Absolutely. So we'll see you next time, folks. Peace.